Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'll be reviewing my top 10 favourite LEGO Star Wars minifigs released in 2024. 2024 was a pretty strong year for LEGO Star Wars minifigures. They released 77 in total, which was just above average, so picking my top 10 was pretty tricky. Obviously, this is purely based on my personal opinion. The list isn't based on rarity or price, it's merely the figures I like. There's going to be some controversial entries, some you disagree with, and some you would have changed. So let's just jump straight in and take a look. At number 10, we've got the Night Trooper from the Ahsoka Duel on Parida set, numbered 75385. SW number for this figure was 1358, and you can probably pick one of these up for about £10 on Bricklink or eBay. Now, for some, this might be a really controversial entry, as many, myself included, would have preferred Captain Enoch as a figure, but that probably would have meant LEGO having to create a new style mould for the helmet, and that probably didn't fit into their £50 budget for this set, so we got this one instead. However, I think it looks really nice. If we just take a closer look at the front of the minifigure, you can see there's some really nice gold metallic markings, and that's certainly not something you'd commonly see on a Stormtrooper style minifigure. Got some really nice fine lines and detail, and I think that dark red looks really vibrant against the white on both the front and the back of the torso. If we turn the figure to the side, you'll see no arm or leg printing, which at this price point isn't really a surprise. Comes with the latest style dual moulded helmet, which is now pretty much standard on all Stormtroopers, and includes a mid-sized blaster as an accessory. If we remove the helmet, you'll see a lovely detailed zombie head design, and that's not something that we've seen before. It was an entirely new print for 2024, and LEGO could have easily given us a plain tanned head on the basis it's going to be hidden underneath a helmet for the majority of the time, so credit there. No alternative face, which is a shame, but it's understandable. But we do get some detail on the reverse, which I think looks really nice. I actually think we're going to see some more of these figures. With Ahsoka Season 2 already in production, we're almost certainly going to get some more sets, and hopefully we'll get some of these in probably some battle packs, so we can army build them and pick them up at a reasonable price. So, yep. A nice figure, happy to add that to my collection, and that is why it makes it at my number 10. At number 9, we have ARC Trooper 5's SW number 1329. He actually came as a bonus minifigure in the Board in the Tantive 4 set to celebrate 25 years of LEGO Star Wars, and obviously he had absolutely nothing to do with that particular scene or movie, but he was a really nice addition to that set. The figure will cost you about £15 to buy on eBay, but to be honest, I would just pick up the set instead, albeit the RRP for that set's about £50. It's slightly older now, and it's often on sale for about £35. Plus, you get 6 other figures, and you get the 25th anniversary stand, plus the set itself, which was pretty cool and long overdue. Okay, so there's some pros and cons with this minifigure. The pros being the fact that he's got some really great detail printed on the torso and on the legs, and if we spin him around, you'll also see there's some really nice printing on the rear, albeit it's covered up by a brick-built backpack most of the time, but I quite like that and probably wasn't expecting that to come with the set. I think the detail on the arms looks great. I think they've nailed that design. The head looks brilliant. No alternative face, but I think the design for this is really, really good, and I think it's spot on. The helmet, it's lacking a bit in my opinion. I don't hate the design. I've certainly seen nicer custom designs, but for an anniversary figure, I think LEGO could have done a little bit better here. It includes 2 pistols as opposed to the standard mid-sized blasters which you get on most minifigures, but albeit they're a little bit oversized, I think they just look and feel right to me. The cons. Only a few, but potentially quite big ones. Firstly, no additional hairpiece. That would have cost LEGO pence to include, and so I felt that that could have been included just to show off that lovely face, and when displaying you could have had the helmet in his hand and then obviously had the hairpiece and the head showing separately. Ammo pouch is too large, could have been slightly smaller in my opinion. The cloth pauldron on top has some unique printing which is nice, but it just sticks out too much, and it kind of reminds me of that Dilophosaurus from the Jurassic Park movies. Remember the one? It just needs to bend down a little bit, which would have helped cover up that neck gap which is caused by the bracket for the backpack. Maybe once you've played with it a little bit, if you choose to, it might kind of start to sag a little bit and might look slightly better. No leg pauldron. I get the cloth wasn't the perfect design on the older figures, but I feel they could have included some side leg printing, which just would have given some indication of a pauldron, and I think that would have been better than having nothing at all. So all that being said, it's still a really, really lovely figure. Due to those cons on the list, I don't think it's as good as it could have been, and especially being an anniversary figure, that's why it's not higher up on my list. At number 8, we've got Neil, who can be found in the new Onyx Cinder set 75374. He is definitely the pick of the bunch from that set in my opinion, and unsurprisingly he's the most expensive. On average he's going to cost you about £25 on eBay. His SW number was 1350. He was a completely new head mould for 2024, sand blue skin, dark blue hair. It's a really lovely detailed design. If we take a closer look, you can see some wrinkles and creases on his skin. The printing in and around his eyes captures his subdued look really nicely. He's got some nice printing on the front and back of the torso. He's got some red overalls, tan dark shirt. Maybe a backpack could have been included. We've seen him in the show wearing one. Here's a picture. What do you think? He's got the single moulded short legs, which again, I think work perfectly for this design. He's also got a lightsaber hilt and a rounded tile as an accessory, which is obviously there to represent his torch. For me, this is a perfect design. Probably not a figure we're going to see in another set anytime soon. That said, I thought the show was great, and I'm almost certain they're going to get a season 2, at which point we may see some more sets and some more figures. However, if it's anything like Max Rebo, LEGO will probably reuse the mould for Neil's head, unless he changes his hairstyle or colour in the show. Here's hoping. Nevertheless, a great figure, which is why Neil gets my number 8 spot. At number 7, we've got Jedi Bob. Great to have Jedi Bob back after 22 years. He can be found in his Starfighter set numbered 75388. An SW number of 1379. You can probably pick him up for about £10, which is about a tenth of the price of the original one. So if you want a Jedi Bob, this might be the one for you. I think LEGO have done a great job with this figure. Not identical to the original figure. This one has the updated bluish grey for the torso and the reddish browns for the legs, but I do love the fact they've released him with the yellow skin tone as opposed to the standard flesh tones. I think that was the right approach for this figure. If we bring OG Bob in and place them side by side, you can really see the difference in colours, and probably without that visual comparison it's really hard to tell. If we zoom in, you'll also notice that the printing is made to look old and weathered, giving that impression that he's a 22-year-old minifigure that you found in the loft, which again I think was a really, really nice nostalgic feel to this minifigure. No printing on the side or the back, but it does include the new spongy style cape, which I prefer to the old starch ones, and it also has the newer style hood piece. Underneath that hood we can see he's got two face printings. One side has that classic design and the other side has a much more menacing look, and again it also includes that worn style printing. He does include the standard lightsaber, but unfortunately it doesn't include the actual chrome hilt that was in the original set. Unfortunately LEGO discontinued that years ago, but you might want to pick one up on Bricklink for about £3 or £4 to complete that look. I think this is a great figure. I'm not sure LEGO could have done any better if I'm honest. Yeah, maybe he should have been higher up the list. But for now, Jedi Bob's at number 7. At number 6, we've got Grand Admiral Thrawn, also from the Jewel and Parida set. Seems that was a lame set, but had some great minifigures in it. SW number is 1356, and this will cost you about £15 on Bricklink or eBay. This version is printed on medium blue as opposed to dark azure used in the original Rebels version, which when compared to pictures from the show, I think it looks far more accurate. You'll also notice that the designer's finally got his insignia markings correct. Not sure how they managed to mix that up on the original version, but at least it's fixed now. I know many have also mentioned, however, that now they have the wrong number of co-cylinders on his jacket, which is just a real shame. It seems that LEGO have fixed one problem and created another. Had they just kept the original print on the torso to include the updated Signia colours, it probably would have been a perfect minifigure. If we spin him around, just some simple detailing on the back. He has two face prints, a stern look, an angry face, and he also has black hair as opposed to the dark blue on the original Rebels version. Finally, dual moulded legs, which makes such a difference for this figure. Given the fact that so many Star Wars characters wear boots, we've only actually seen this style of legs on 3 other Star Wars minifigures since they were released in 2015. For me, this is a near perfect figure, and probably why the original one has tanked in value a little bit recently. Even if we put dual moulded legs on the original Rebels version, I think the new one has the edge, which is why it takes my number 6 spot. At number 5, we've got QTKT, who can be found in the Imperial dropship set numbered 40755. Her SW number is 1393 and she can be picked up for about £22. If you know the backstory behind this figure, I was thrilled when LEGO announced that she would be the final figure to conclude the 25th anniversary lineup. QTKT was an astromech part of the D squad, and if we compare the design to source material available to us on Wikipedia, we can see that LEGO have done a pretty good job here. You could argue that the pink used is a little bit too pink. Maybe bright pink would have looked better compared to dark pink. I don't know, it's really hard to tell. It's missing some white areas around the top of the body, but if we compare that to all the past astromechs, it's no surprise due to the limitations LEGO have when printing around the sides. One thing that is a real disappointment is the lack of back printing like we see on the most recent R2 figures. I think for an anniversary figure that was a real shame. Nevertheless, I absolutely love astromechs and I think it's a great figure, which is why it takes my 5th spot. At number 4 we have Darth Malak, who was the first of the 25th anniversary figures to be released, found in the R2-D2 set. His number was 1325. I was really happy when LEGO announced they would be including this figure in this set. Being a 25th anniversary set, it was the perfect opportunity to include a character that we were probably unlikely to see otherwise. However, for that reason, he still carries quite the premium price tag, costing on average of about £35 on Bricklink or eBay. I think LEGO nailed the design for this figure. He includes some lovely detail on the front of the torso and includes a unique mould for the part of his jaw prosthesis. But if I was being picky, it's probably does look a little bit oversized when we compare it to source material. If we remove the jaw piece, you can see a lovely design on his head showing the damage to his face underneath, and again some nice printing on the rear. The legs have some great detail on them, but again I kind of feel that LEGO missed the opportunity to include some dual molded legs to represent his boots, which is a shame for a 25th anniversary figure. If we spin him around, he's got the thinner style cape in black, not unique to this figure, but it only came in one other figure, which was the Mandalorian Tribe Warrior. If we remove the cape, you can see some nice detail to the back of the torso. This is a great figure and certainly an unexpected one, which is why he takes my number 4 spot. At number 3 we've got Saw Gerrera, SW number 1335. You can pick him up for about £28. Like many of the 25th anniversary figures, he had no relation to this set, which in this case was Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator. But it was just a perfect opportunity to give us fans what was a relatively iconic figure, especially in Rogue One movie, and probably not a figure we would have seen otherwise. If we start with the actual colour of the minifigure, I think it's easy to be critical, suggesting that dark green wasn't the perfect colour when compared to how we see him in Rogue One and the other animated shows, where he's more of a greeny blue, maybe a teal, but based on the colour palette available to LEGO, I think dark green was the best colour. I think the design and print on this figure is really nice. The armour printing and the mould, which is also unique to this figure, is great. You can see how nice the print lines up from the armour to the torso. I think LEGO have done a great job there, so no complaints for me. No actual arm printing, but the armour kind of covers up most of the arms, and that has different printing on both sides. He's got dual-sided heads, which is nice, and it includes some really fine details. I don't think that either design is perfect, but when you compare to faces we've seen on other printed minifigures, I think LEGO did a cracking job on such a small surfaced area. The legs are really nice and detailed. I think maybe again LEGO missed the opportunity here for dual molded legs to help show his prosthetic leg. Again, if we compare it to images from the film, the majority of his leg was covered up, and LEGO will try to show that by using different print on each side, especially with the silver markings. Obviously we've seen some other figures with prosthetic legs, but I don't think either of those types of designs would have worked any better. The highlight of this minifigure for me was the unique cape design. It's beautiful. It's the spongy style material and it has a really nice shine to it. If we look at the figure from the side, you can see the studs on the armour mould make it stick out just slightly, but again, that's no big deal for me. I think for a 25th anniversary figure, LEGO have done him justice. It was certainly an unexpected figure and probably one we're unlikely to see again, which is why he gets my number 3 spot. At number 2, we've got Jedi Vader. SW number is 1363 and he will cost you about £30 to buy on Bricklink or eBay. Jedi Vader came in the Dark Falcon set, which was from the Rebuild the Galaxy show, and actually it included some really nice unique figures, some of which easily could have made it onto my top 10 list. If we take a look at the Jedi Vader, we can see some really lovely detail, some fine printing to the torso and the legs, and that metallic silver looks really nice against the white and stands out a lot better than I was expecting. And the blue and green buttons also look really nice. Includes some arm printing, which we tend to see now on most of the Darth Vader figures since it was released back in 2020 as part of the final dual set. The cape is a spongy style as opposed to the starch, which I think is much better. The helmet is the updated version with the separate neck piece, which is obviously much more improved over the original helmet. The only thing it's lacking is some different coloured eyes. If LEGO had used that metallic silver they used on the torso for the eyes, then I think it would have been perfect. With all that said, this is a lovely minifigure and not one that I thought we'd see in LEGO. Unlike the canon black version of Darth Vader, I don't think we're likely to see another one released anytime soon, which is why it takes my number 2 spot. And finally, my favourite minifigure of 2024. Drumroll please. I'm sure you've all guessed it, but of course, it's 9 Num. After all these years, we finally get him as a 25th anniversary figure in the Desert Skiff set, and doesn't he look great? There aren't many original trilogy figures that I think we're missing as LEGO minifigures. LEGO have had ample opportunity to include 9 Num in many of the Millennium Falcon sets they've released, but for whatever reason, they've chosen not to. So to finally get him in what is a relatively cheap set and being an exclusive figure, it was a welcome treat. His SW number is 1372, and you can pick him up for about £20, but you're probably better off picking up the set, which now retails for about £50, and it also includes 5 other nice figures and a really great skiff and Sarlacc pit. The main focal point is obviously the head mould, which is completely new, and I think LEGO have absolutely knocked it out of the park. The torso and the legs include some nice fine detail, not overly complex, black waistcoat over a red shirt. It just looks great. Same with the legs, some faint printed pockets and a gun belt. No sidearm printing, but due to the fact he wears a red shirt, that didn't come as any surprise. So, like the rest of the 25th anniversary figures, he also comes with a plaque and a stand, and all he's missing is a gold medal for being the best figure on my 2024 list. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you would have changed any of the figures, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. For more Star Wars minifigure reviews, it would be great if you could like this video and subscribe to help support my channel. I'll see you all again soon.